Hello folks, welcome to this course, Acumen 360 Step by Step. My name is Gavin Drysdale. My background is in project controls, covering the last 25 years. I'm based in Australia and my experience covers mega projects in the mining, oil and gas and heavy industries. I have worked as a project control specialist for many of the major international companies. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a master's degree in industrial engineering. The course content applies to all of the Deltek Acumen 360 versions. I'm currently using version 8.3. If you are using a different version, you may notice a few differences, but they should be minor. So you may be a project manager, project scheduler, project controller, engineer, cost controller, risk analyst, or anyone else who wishes to learn Deltek Acumen 360. You could also be enhancing your skills by upgrading your schedule analysis and forensic skills. This is an extremely comprehensive course which will take you from beginner to advanced level in the use and application of Deltek Acumen 360. Throughout the course, you will have the opportunity to work through various exercises to help reinforce what you have been learning. This course for Deltek Acumen 360 falls within the S1 to S5 maturity framework, which applies to the whole Deltek Acumen suite: Acumen Fuse, Acumen 360 and Acumen Risk. There are a set of 5 steps that should be followed to decrease risk, improve quality and confidence for the validation of schedules. As one progresses, each level leads to a more successful and achievable project plan. So, the Deltek Acumen suite adheres to the following 5 steps. S1, the project base, the non-validated schedule. Then S2, critiqued, the use of schedule diagnostics to identify and correct schedule problems. S3, risk adjusted, risk analysis to mitigate identified schedule risks. S4, optimized, develop cleansed scenarios to accelerate and optimize the schedules. S5, team aligned, confidence in the forecasted dates is improved and team buy-in on the critiqued, risk-adjusted and optimized schedule is obtained. In this course, our primary focus will be on the S4 Acceleration tab, which covers the methodology for cleansing, acceleration and recovery of our schedule. So by the end of the course, you should be able to cleanse your schedule using Schedule Cleanse. Understand the philosophy of acceleration and recovery. Understand targeted acceleration. Understand goal-based acceleration. Understand interactive acceleration. Understand the calibration template. Use the Schedule Realism Advisor. Create and use acceleration scripts. Export scenarios. Lastly, this course assumes that all participants have a basic understanding of the principles of scheduling. The objectives of this course cover a step-by-step approach to learning Acumen 360. Before taking this course, you would have preferably completed my comprehensive course for Deltek Acumen Fuse step by step. Alternatively, it is particularly important that all participants will already have a good working knowledge and understanding of Deltek Acumen Fuse. So let's get started and open up your copy of Acumen Fuse. All of the XER files used in this course can be found in the samples folder that will have been provided with your copy of Deltek Acumen Fuse. When you first open Acumen, a welcome window will appear with details of your licensed Deltek Acumen software. After a short while, Acumen will open in the default S1 Projects tab. A splash screen will tell us that our workbook contains no projects, so we're ready to get started. In the next lesson, we will set up our Acumen 360 workbook. In this lesson, we will go through the steps of setting up our Acumen 360 workbook. If you have already completed my course on Acumen Fuse step by step, you will be familiar with this process. But it is a good idea for us to go over the initial steps for setting up a workbook. When you first open Acumen Fuse, it will open in the S1 Projects view by default. In the center of the workspace, a splash screen will be visible. It will tell us that our workbook contains no projects. From this splash screen, we can open existing workbooks or metric library templates. So let's set up our new Sample 360 workbook. In the Projects pane on the left, you will see that Workbook 1 has been loaded by default. Currently, it contains no projects. Click on the Acumen icon in the top left of the workspace and select Save As. A window will open that asks what type of file we are saving. So select Deltek Acumen Workbook. In the browsing window that opens, we can rename the workbook if we want. So let's rename it as Sample 360 Workbook. Click Save to save the workbook, and you will note that the name of the workbook will appear at the top of the screen, as well as in the left-hand pane. Now, we need to understand the structure and hierarchy of imported files within our workbook. Firstly, we can only have one workbook open at a time. Within this workbook, we can store our projects and snapshots. We can have multiple projects and snapshots within our workbook. So what is the difference between a project and a snapshot? A project is the project being analyzed. We refer to it as the original project. A snapshot is a version of the project being analyzed and cannot be edited. It is a static moment in time and is used for comparison against our original project. So, if we look at our workbook structure, we will see that the projects are indented under the workbook and snapshots are indented under each project being analyzed. Additionally, we should remember that a snapshot can be converted to a project at any time. To do this, we would simply highlight the snapshot that we want to convert and then click the button for Convert to Project. Alternatively, we can convert a project to a snapshot. However, to do this, we must close the project and import it as a snapshot. Let's go through the 7 basic steps for constructing our workbook. We'll go through them one by one. They are: link the project files, link the snapshot files, adjust field mappings if required, assign the baseline, assign filters, set display options, and import data. These steps may sound complicated, but they are quite logical and straightforward. So let's go to step 1, linking our project files. Make sure that the tab for S1 Projects is selected, then click on the Primavera icon in the top menu. There are many options for opening Primavera files, but for our exercise, we will select the first option for Single Project XER. Now we can browse to our Primavera sample files in the Acumen directory. Select Initial Plan XER and click Open. A confirmation screen will open, so highlight Initial Plan and click OK. This will link the Project XER file to the workbook. You will notice that the name of the file, Initial Plan, will appear in the left-hand panel, and it will be indented under the workbook title. You will also notice that a cylinder icon symbol will appear to the left of the project file name. To the right of the file name, there will be a 0 in brackets. So what does this mean? The cylinder means that the file has been linked but not yet imported. The checkbox gives us the option of including the project data in the ribbon analysis, so leave it checked for now. The 0 indicates the number of activities that are in the project is 0 because the project has not yet been imported. Next, click on the Acumen icon in the top left-hand corner of the top menu. A drop-down menu will appear, so select File, Save As again. You can now select a directory for saving your workbook file, but let's just keep it in the default folder for now, so just click Cancel. Now in the second step, we will link our snapshot data. Remember, for this step we want our snapshots to be indented under our initial plan. So to do this, we must first highlight the initial plan in the left-hand pane. Then click on the Primavera button. This time select the 6-month update XER and click Open. Confirm the file and click OK. The snapshot will be indented under the project name, showing a cylinder and 0 activities. Once again, make sure that the initial plan is highlighted, and this time open Current Schedule XER. There is also a shortcut for opening snapshots. Simply right-click the project name and select New Snapshot to open the relevant file for the snapshot. Click on the Acumen icon and save the workbook. So now we have linked one project and 2 snapshots to our workbook. Now, step 3. Adjust field mappings if required. Acumen Fuse uses a standard import template to import data from project files. However, you can also customize your mapping of data if you wish to. For now, we will leave our field mappings as per the default settings. Step 4 is next. So this is where we can assign the Primavera baseline data. When you link your projects and snapshot files in your workbook, Acumen Fuse cannot distinguish whether Primavera baseline data is included or not. If we want to include baseline data, we must manually assign the data to our projects and snapshots. This is quite straightforward. When we assign baseline data, the following data is assigned to the selected project or snapshot: baseline duration, baseline start, baseline finish, baseline work, resources, and baseline cost. So how do we know that a baseline has been assigned? You will notice that a small capital B will appear next to the project or snapshot name. Let's go ahead and assign baseline data to our files. Select the S1 Projects tab. In the left-hand panel, right-click Initial Plan and a drop-down menu will appear. Select Assign Baseline. From the Primavera window that opens, select the XER file for Initial Plan and click Open. And you will see that a capital B appears next to the right of the file name. Now let's repeat this process for our 2 snapshots, 6-month update and current schedule. Now one more thing that we should look at. Click on the Fields tab. You'll note that the baseline field data name for selected projects or snapshots are now blue in color, with BL in front of the field names. This tells us that a baseline has been assigned. Next, in step 5, we can set up filters to filter our data during import. In the top menu, click the Filters button and a drop-down menu will appear. This will allow us to filter our activity types, such as normal, summary, milestone, or level of effort. Activity status, planned, completed, in progress, and resource assignments. For now, let's leave all of the options selected. Here is a tip to remember. After importing our data, if we decide to change any of the filter criteria, we will need to re-import the affected file. Next, in step 6, we will set our display options. So, select the S1 Projects tab in the top menu. Then click the Activity View button. A pop-up window will appear with 4 options: grouping, filtering, auto-fit column widths, and display settings. Click the display settings to open up our display options window. It will open up with default values of duration time units, default is days; work time units, default is hours; elapsed durations time unit, default is weeks; and currency symbol, we'll use dollars. We can modify these settings later if we wish. Lastly, in step 7, we can import all of the linked project data in our workbook. Select the S1 Projects tab, then click on the Import All Projects button in the top menu. Now, let's import all of our files. Click on the Import All Projects button in the top menu, then click Import All Projects from the pull-down menu. You will note that the remaining file data has been imported, and the cylinders have changed to logos and activity numbers are shown in brackets. Now that the data has been imported, save the workbook by clicking the little save icon at the top left. We are now ready to start analyzing using Acumen 360. In this lesson, we will learn how to use Acumen 360 for schedule, acceleration, deceleration, or recovery. When we use Acumen 360, it uses CPM simulation by running hundreds of iterations on projects, selected activities, or groups of activities. It progressively moves the project or activities towards a defined goal, using criteria that has been set for the acceleration or recovery. So how do we use Acumen 360? Acumen 360 provides 3 acceleration options. The first is goal-based acceleration. This allows us to define a specific end date or goal. Acumen 360 will then automatically create a schedule scenario to meet that goal. Then we have targeted acceleration. This allows us to define a specific end date or goal, as well as specific criteria for acceleration. For example, reduce duration by up to 20%. Lastly, we have interactive acceleration. When we use this, we can decelerate or accelerate independent activities or activity groups by using the duration calibration sliders. When we select the S4 Acceleration tab, we have access to a script library and editor, and a step library and editor, as well as acceleration. We will discuss scripts later in this course, so for now, we'll cover the Accelerate Schedule button option. So, if it is not already open, let's open our Sample 360 workbook by clicking the fuse icon on the top left and selecting Sample 360 workbook from recent workbooks. The Sample 360 workbook will open in the S1 Projects tab. Before you select any projects, if you look at the Scenario Generation group on the top menu, you will note that the button to Accelerate Schedule is grayed out. This is because no project has yet been selected. So in the left pane, highlight the 6-month update, and you will see that the Accelerate Schedule button is now available. Click Accelerate Schedule to open the acceleration window. So, note that we have opened our acceleration window from the S1 Projects tab. For now, just click Cancel to close this window. This time, select the S4 Acceleration tab and you will see a completely different workspace. In this workspace, we still have our button to accelerate the schedule, so just click it. Our acceleration window will open again. Click Cancel to close this window. So you can see that the S4 Acceleration tab also gives us the option to create, merge, or use existing scripts to define our acceleration, deceleration, or recovery criteria for our project. Now, before we open our Accelerate Schedule window again, you will note that we also have a button to cleanse schedule as part of the scenario generation group. Please note that cleanse schedule was covered fully in my course, Acumen Fuse Step by Step. Select the 6-month update in the Projects pane. Then click the Cleanse Schedule button in the top menu. The Schedule Cleanser window will open that lists items that could be cleansed or improved upon. You'll see from the list on the left that we can cleanse our schedule by minimizing redundant logic, hard constraints, soft constraints, remaining leads, remaining lags, and links on summaries. Each item in the list will contain an explanation of what is expected to be achieved by minimizing the impact from the selected item. Also, the item list tells us how many activities are affected in each category. On the right, we have a window that lists the affected activities. So, if we click on redundant logic in the left pane, it notifies us that 2 activities are impacted by redundant logic. Those 2 activities are listed in the right-hand pane. If we look at those activities, we can choose to cleanse one or more of them. So place a check in the box for the first activity, then look at the redundant logic heading in the left pane. It notifies us that one of 2 activities has been selected in the right-hand pane. Now go back and deselect the activity that you previously selected in redundant logic. Next, click anywhere in the option for hard constraints. You'll see 4 activities listed in the right with hard constraints. Then select the checkbox for hard constraints and you'll note that all of the activities have been selected. You can deselect individual activities if you decide to. Now, you need to remember that if you only decided to select some of the activities and not all of the activities, then the checkbox will appear as pale blue. So select all of the activities. Once we have selected activities to be cleansed, we would simply click on the OK button in the Schedule Cleanser window to close it and return to the Accelerate Schedule window. Let's just deselect this option for now. So what actually happens when we cleanse a schedule? Once we have selected activities in the different categories to be cleansed, we would simply click on the OK button in the Schedule Cleanser window. With no activities selected, just go ahead and click OK. You'll see that a cleansed schedule will be created and added to our project list in the left projects pane as a scenario. So it will be named as 6-month update scenario. Now, once we have created a scenario, it can be compared to our source project in the following modes: timeline view in S1 projects, scenario comparison from the ribbon views in S2 diagnostics, or select the forensics tab. Once we are satisfied that our scenario represents a schedule that has been sufficiently cleansed, we can export our scenario as a Primavera P6 XER file. To do this, we would right-click on the scenario in the Projects pane and select Export as Oracle Primavera P6 XER. You'll note that we can also export the scenario to other formats such as Microsoft Project, etc. Let's delete this scenario because we didn't make any selections in our Schedule Cleanser window. So right-click on the scenario and select Delete. Close this workbook by clicking on the fuse icon in the top left corner, then clicking Close in the drop-down. A window will open that asks if you want to save changes. Just click No to close the workbook without saving. In the next lesson, we will learn how to navigate and select our acceleration options.